Check. 1 2 1 2. Check check.
Still very low. Maybe if I just talk louder.
No, I don't think that. You're loud in Skype.
I'm loud in Skype, but I'm not loud in the room, which means my mic is maybe too far away.
Yes, because we also need to talk about this new monitor.
Yeah, we have to talk about a lot of things, tech.
Yes.
Okay.
And vape, a little bit of vape, but mainly tech.
Right.
This is GeekWeek. Take 1. On the edge.
Poppin' tags.
Take 2. On the edge.
Check check check.
Check check. Audio 1 2 3. Hello? Hello?
How about now the mic is a tad bit closer? Is that any better?
Is there any subscribers out there? Hello, YouTube. This may not be on YouTube.
Hey,
That's fine. Okay. Awesome, awesome. What's going on, KCM? What's going on, people?
Alright, well, this is awesome. We've got Geek Week going on the edge, and this is our first show of Geek Week. We are all geeks, right?
Yeah.
We classified that.
Fucking bro fisting Geek Week.
Isn't it?
Alright, so we're all geeks, and we've all been going through the upgrade core syndrome. Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about what systems we've been running and what systems we're looking forward to running in the next little while. Or some of us have already upgraded. What about you, Jody? What system are you running now?
Currently I'm running a Pentium iCore, quad-core processor. I believe it's about 2.4 gigahertz. Running a gigabyte motherboard, 320 gig SATA hard drive, GeForce 9600 GT Superclock video card, and a Sutton Blaster Live audio card, just to improve my listening pleasure.
Right, which was a very respectable setup. Just maybe a few years ago, very respectable setup. And now we're going to go to Theta, which is what is the self-proclaimed People's Champion. You've already upgraded, Todd.
Yes.
What was your setup? What is it now?
Before I was just running an HP machine. Basically, it was a donated machine that was no longer up and running anymore. So currently, that machine was like a Core 2 Duo with like 4 gigs of RAM, running Windows 7 Pro with a 7200 RPM spin drive, but just couldn't cut the juice to do green screening live shows. Would peg it out, so did a little bit of an upgrade. Got the M5A 97 LER 2.0 motherboard, which is made by ASUS, with the FX 4130 AMD chip, running the Corsair Vengeance 16 gigs, 1600 megahertz speed. Of course, we got the 650 ATX power supply. Main hard drive would be the OCZ 120 gig Vertex 3. Secondary drive, an OCZ Solid 3 60 gig, and a third drive of 750 gig 7200 spin speed from Seagate, and a couple of fans, and waiting on an upgraded video card, which will be the XFX 6950.
Alright, awesome. We will get into benchmarks later of video cards, but there's obviously been, you know, we're all looking to fast forward to the better stuff. I personally have been running on a laptop for over a year. NV59. It was a 2.4 gigahertz i3 CPU with the Intel video graphics chipset. I upgraded it recently to the 2.77 gigahertz, and I realized I still couldn't play games because I have the Intel chipset, which is a major bummer. Down bummer. For those people, you know, that love the Intel setups, they're great. Intel makes the greatest processors in the world, bar none. But they make the worst graphics fucking setups in the world, bar none. I mean, well, I'm sure there's third world companies that make graphics setups that don't compete with Intel. But when you're talking ATI, when you're talking Radeon, Intel does not match up on a laptop. And it's embarrassing, you know what I mean? Because I've got a killer laptop. I've worked really hard to make this a great laptop. It's got an SSD 120 gig. It's got 8 gigs of RAM. It's got a 277 overclocks to 3.2 Intel processor, i5, but it just does not play games. So we're looking at building a tower now. That's the new thing. So you guys convinced me into building a tower.
We may have done that. It's a
you
possibility.
may have had something to do with that.
I think Feta had the most to do with that. I mean,
I don't know how.
It is true. I mean, you know, we're sitting here, we're talking, we're vaping, and we're talking tech geek stuff, right? And the end of the day fact is that this thing's a great machine for running shows. It runs the shows, and it does the compiling for my After Effects, which I actually ran out of memory, and Intel on their laptops does not support more than 8 gigs if you have their video graphics chipset. So I've actually expanded the 8 gig point where it really froze up my system doing After Effects. So I knew I had to go bigger, badder with a big tower.
But still, your laptop's a very respectable machine for, I mean, it's not a gaming laptop. It wasn't a gaming laptop when you purchased it, you know, but it is a solid and fast machine.
Yeah, and it's good for compiling stuff, and it's a good workhorse. Don't get me wrong. Like when you come down to megahertz for megahertz, Intel makes a great machine. They're pushing the chipset that sucks shit with their laptops, unfortunately. And I have that Intel chipset built in, and I'm using an Intel video graphics display unit, which sucks. But it's a great machine for compiling stuff like, you know, After Effects or doing workhorse stuff. But playing games, there's no in between. It just sucks. But it's a great machine, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking Intel for making the best processors in the world, but I am knocking them for making the worst fucking video graphics processor chipset accompanied systems in the world without a lot of backup for the third party motherboards or whatever that they contract out to embedded systems. There's just not a lot of support. I mean, come on, I'm playing with an i5 570 560M and I can't play WoW. Okay, you're talking that's a hot shit, right? I can't play WoW.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? I'm doing 3.1, 3.2 gigs on turbo now, and I can't play WoW.
Yeah, that's a hot chip. I mean, being that it's pushing 3.1. I mean, that's beating some of the i7s, correct?
Yeah, no,
When it
it's
comes down to
it's definitely kicking some fucking internet ass on, on the benchmarks. But it definitely is not playing games. And that's the Intel chipset, the HM55 chipset, which is in this board. And when I upgraded the actual processor, although the computer runs better as a whole, my desktop Windows Experience Index went down on the graphics part a point.
Yeah, and I don't quite get that, because when I did a reinstall and did everything, I actually came down 3.3 points, and it really doesn't make any sense because nothing's changed other than another fast hard drive was put in, and the operating system was redone completely. So.
Well, I mean, we've already kind of learned that there's really no way imaginable to score a 7.9 across the board.
Sure there is. Write your own code.
Well,
write your own code and cheat the fucking test.
Right. Well,
Yes.
I mean, we were watching that video last night, and the guy was running dual 6-core Intel processors and scored a 7.8. I mean,
If I can turn a score of a 7.1 and everything being the lowest score being 7.1, so saying I'm 7 across the board or whatever, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to know that your computer's healthy and you can play some games and do what you want to do.
Exactly. And it was, it's a budget build, more or less, but it has some very good components. And, budget builds today can be anywhere from 400 to 1,000, for a budget build.
Yeah.
yes, this I know.
So anyways, we're all on a budget here. We're not fucking, I'm not bathing in money, and slapping my friends with money and throwing money in the fireplace. So we're gonna do budget building. We're gonna fucking handle that. Right now, we kind of all, okay, so the laptop does a good job for what it is, but I'm building a tower. Great. Take me off because my kids are knocking. I'll be right back.
And we'll get right back to Jeff when he returns.
I'll be right back.
We have so much to cover also.
Yes.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
But not only have we built these machines or in the process of building these machines, we have fun doing it also.
And sometimes we bake.
Sometimes.
And they decided to play Nicky 9 Doors because Daddy was broadcasting, which is always fun. So, back to the point. The laptop, which is a great laptop, not a great game player, a good number crunch machine, is not going to be my big thing. So we're going to work on building a tower. Correct?
Yes, and what will be in that tower in the end?
Well, in the end is yet to be determined because,
Yes.
But where are we at so far?
Alright, so far we are at a 8150 FX. Nope, 81. 8150 FX processor, which is one step down from the 8350. It does 3.5 turbos up from 3.5, where the 8350 actually, and check me on this, Todd, if I'm right or wrong, the 8350 is higher in gigahertz and does even more in turbo.
Yes.
8150 will 4.2 gigahertz max in turbo with a steady of 3.6 gigahertz as being its low.
Right, so what is the 8150?
The 8150, oh, I'm sorry, that was the 8150, was 3.6 gigahertz with a 4.2 gigahertz max. That's the 8150.
Exactly, that's what I got for my processor.
And then if you step up,
then you're going to 4 gigs.
you're going to 4 gigahertz. And some of the bigger differences would be well, they're both 125 watt.
What's up, J-Shrek and August 3130?
I'm not even sure if there's a change on the L3 side of it or L2.
Yeah, it's more of a change in the actual core process speed.
Okay.
Your bigger, better, kick my ass and all that.
So let me just look over this real quick.
Hey J-Track, how are ya?
Hey J-Track. The L2 cache instead of is also an 8 meg on the 8350. Yeah, it's really a close numbers game here.
And here's the thing, the reason I went with the 8150 instead of the 8350 was because it was a close numbers game. And there is room for overclocking on these chips. And if I really want to push it, I'll do it to the 8350 style. But I really couldn't see it for the $50 difference. There's pretty much a $50 difference between the chips price. And you're getting 8 cores with the 8150. So that's what I ordered. You know, hey, if I'm wrong, folks, hang me. That's okay. But it is what it is. I bought the 8150, and I thought $50 savings was a pretty good deal.
I'm trying to see here. They're not showing me. Okay, it will do the 4.2 in turbo.
Yes.
And it's a 4 at low. So there's your big point. 3.6 gigahertz with up to a 4.1 or 4.2 it was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we got people double checking me on my stats. They may be off a little bit, but not too much. I did go with the 8150 as my main processor. Now, let's go to the board. Undecided. I've got 2 boards. I've got a micro ATX and I've got an ATX board. We're not quite sure yet which one I'm going to use. Here's the thing. There was problems with some of the people with BIOS on the micro ATX board, which was, and I think it's the here we go. I got the manual right here. The A96OM-3M3. This board supports the 8-core processors now, and 6-core processors at 125 watts. The only problem is a lot of them came with the original BIOS that did not support 125 watts. They only supported 95 watt version. So I bought this board on a steal for 37 bucks, right? It's a great little micro TX board. Haven't even hooked it up yet. And I'm afraid that it may not power up to BIOS. So I bought a backup board just in case. which is the board from Tiger Direct for $70. You know, we'll see how this is going to play out. It's either going to be the board from Tiger Direct, or it's going to be the Micro 8 ITX or ATX board from ECS. But that's not, it's not do or die, because a lot of these micro boards do better than the big boards, all said and done, with what we've seen on the internet with overclocking and shit like that. So really it's going to come down to what video card, how much memory, and you know, what is the rest of my setup. So okay, so who wants to ask?
I got a feeling it's going to be the board that didn't show up yet. Although I think the board that we were just talking about, the Micro, I think being the smaller board, you can make a serious hot rod out of it, per se.
Yeah,
but
$37 board, Micro ITX or ATX. It could be a serious hot rod board, but the problem is, will it light up the chip from get-go? And that's what we're going to find out this week. We're going to put the fucking 8150 in there and see if it can actually light the chip up.
But I got a feeling you're going to go with the other board anyway, because it does support more memory.
It supports more memory. Okay, the good thing about the ECS board, it supports 16 gigs and it only has 2 slots. The problem is,
It only
you need more
supports 16
slots.
gigs.
And you need more slots. So exactly, right? And you know, so we are going to be talking about that too. That is a major difference when you're picking out a board. You're going for $37 to $70, and these are both buy it cheap boards that I went with. We're going to definitely compare the benchmarks. What I want to do is benchmark both of them, have the fucking full meal deal for you guys, and get back to you with that. But alright, so what video card?
Did you buy more than one?
No, I only bought one.
Yeah.
I only bought one. I could only afford one on my measly paycheck. So I bought the Sparkle 560, GTX 560 graphics accelerator board. Yes, technically speaking, save me. And we'll see how that works out. I've got 16 megs. 8 of it is one stick, 2 4s in other sticks, both 1600 megahertz. They're the blue, was it blue? Kingston HyperX Blue. Thanks for reminding me. All of it's Kingston HyperX Blue. So what I could do is I could actually put 12 megs inside the ATX Mini, or I could put the full 16 inside of the new board. We'll see what kind of benchmark difference that makes or whatever, but yeah.
And the HyperX Blue is now HyperX Red.
No, that's another tier. I believe HyperX Red is the next tier up.